My name is Chrissy. Welcome to Yin Yoga. Okay, if you have some props, you might want to gather them now. They'll help support you in the poses. They'll help you hold the poses longer. You can use blocks, bolsters, blankets. If you don't have yoga props, don't worry about it. You can substitute. You can use pillows, couch cushions. We can roll blankets to mimic bolsters. You can use, stacks of books instead of blocks. So you might want to pause the video just to gather some things if you don't have them out already. And then when you're ready, you can rejoin us here. Okay, we're gonna find our way to a comfortable seat, and whatever that looks like for you. I like to sit cross-legged on the edge of a blanket. And then allow the palms to rest comfortably on your thighs. And allow your awareness to focus on your breath. Notice the sound of your breath. Maybe shift to noticing any thoughts you hear making noise in your mind. What are they saying? Maybe notice any emotions that come up for you. Can you name the emotions that you feel? And maybe notice any physical sensations in the body. And just welcome them all here. Your thoughts, your emotions, sensations, whatever they may be. And just create space for them to just be. And don't do anything to push them away. Just allow yourself to remain present to the unfolding experience of awareness. Remaining present, awake, and aware. Grounded in the inner knowing that the whole of I am is awareness in which all of the changing fluctuations of life come and go, arise and fall away. Observing the changing fluctuations, the thoughts, the emotions, sensations, then observing the unchanging awareness. And when you're ready, maybe picture a leaf in autumn falling off of a tree and down to a stream below. Maybe try placing your thoughts, your emotions on the leaf and let them go as it begins to float away. Releasing what does not serve you in the moment. Just letting yourself be present with who you are, underneath the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations. Come back to I am. And when you're ready, maybe shift the image to a picture of the room you're in. Maybe hear the sounds in the room or outside of the room. And just bring yourself back to your seat. And when you're ready, you can slowly blink the eyes open to your state of present awareness. So we'll begin by waking up the lung and large intestine meridians. So Yin Yoga is rooted in traditional Chinese medicine. So we're gonna bring our palms together, start to rub them to create some warmth and get the energy flowing. Okay, we're gonna start with the lung meridian. So take your left arm out, palm up. We're gonna start with our fingers just right next to the shoulder here. And then we're just gonna rub or massage, come up the shoulder, down the arm, and we're headed toward the thumb. We're gonna go all the way to the tip of the thumb, and then back up the arm, up the shoulder, to where we began. Okay, and you can do this again. You can stick with rubbing or massaging, or you can switch to tapping if you prefer. And we'll do that a couple of times just to stimulate that meridian. Then we're going to switch to the large intestine, so palm down with the left arm this time. We're going to start with our forefingers here next to the left nostril. And you can either massage or rub or tap. We're going to come down the face, down the neck, over to the shoulder. This time we're going to head down the arm toward the index finger. Come all the way to the tip of the index finger and then back up. Same way we came. Do this a few times. And then when you're done, we'll switch to the right arm and we'll start, maybe shake out that left one. We'll start with the right palm up on this side, lung meridian again next to the shoulder, down the arm, to the thumb for the lung meridian, and back up, tapping or massaging, whatever works for you. You can do a combination of both. Okay, when you're ready, palm down for the large intestine on this side, right side of the nostril, down the arm to the index finger, and back up the neck, back to the face. And do this a few more times. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can just shake it out and just pause, close your eyes, feel your thumb and fingertip of your index finger, both index fingers, both thumbs. Maybe rub them together a little bit. Okay, and then you can open your eyes, Okay, and we'll just begin to move the body a little bit just in preparation for our yin poses. So we're going to bring our shoulders up, back, and down. Just do some shoulder circles. And when you're ready, you can go in the opposite direction and come forward. Okay, and then you can take your hand, just gently guide your head over. We'll get a neck stretch in here. If you'd like a little bit more of a stretch, you can straighten this arm, flex at the wrist, hold here and breathe.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, then bring your head back up. Switch to the other side. Again, you can flex at the wrist if you like. Okay, and come back to center. We're just going to take our 4 fingers here, point them behind you here on top of your trapezius muscle. So bottom of the neck here and next to the shoulders, upper back here, and just slide the fingers forward, just massaging that area a little bit. Just try to release any tension before we get started today. And just squeezing, massaging, and sliding those fingers forward. Okay, and then you can bring your hands down. So if you have any props, you can move them out of the way. We're going to start today lying on our backs. So I would suggest props if you have them. So I have a pranayama bolster that looks like this. It's this thin bolster. If you don't have anything like that, you can take a blanket and you can just fold and roll the blanket over. Okay, and then you can use that as your bolster. Okay, so whichever prop you're using, you can put it horizontal on your mat. If you don't have either of those, you can try a couch cushion, pillow, another type of bolster, or you can take a block and just put it, horizontal on your mat too and try that. Okay, so just gonna get my bolster back out here. So we are going to come to face away from the prop. We're going to come to lie down and we're going to put the bottoms of our shoulder blades onto the prop. So you can adjust if you need to, slide down or up. Okay, and then we're going to come over the prop. And so we're just going to bring our hands bent in cactus arms or goalpost arms. If you need to, you can also bring some support under the head if you have a pillow, blanket, block, whatever works. Okay, and we'll just stay here. But if you have any issues with the arms, some other options are you could always bring some other support, reach the arms overhead instead, rest them here. You can straighten your legs. If it's really difficult to have your arms overhead, or if you're experiencing any tingling or anything, you can just bring them down to your belly or by your sides, whatever works for you. We are trying to get into the long and large intestine meridians with the arms bit today, though, so if you can, bring the arms up. Okay, and then we'll stay here for a few minutes. And just breathe naturally. And just notice any thoughts or emotions, any physical sensations that come up for you. And always remember that, you never want to be in pain in yoga poses. So notice if there is any discomfort, if you have any electrical feelings, any burning, anything at all that doesn't feel right. You can modify the pose or come out of it completely. And then you can just take another, resting pose, maybe Shavasana, until we move on. And before we come out of the pose, we're going to take 3 long, deep breaths in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then if you have any props beneath your head, you might want to move them out of the way just so you can roll over onto your side. Push yourself up and come into a cross-legged position if that works for you. And you're just going to round the back. You can drop the head down. Okay, so we opened up the chest in that pose, and now we're just going to, instead of stretching out the chest, we're just going to stretch out the back a little bit here to counter that. And breathe. Okay, and when you're ready, come back up. Okay, so if you have any props on your mat, you can move them out of the way. We're gonna turn to face the front of our mat to come into a child's pose variation. So you can bring your toes together. Your knees can be as wide as you like them. Slide your hands forward and bring your forehead down to the mat. Okay, so we'll start here and we'll stay here for a minute. And then we're gonna walk our hands to the left. If you like, you can take your left hand on top of your right. Okay, you can just bring your head down, or you can rest your head on your right shoulder here. And just stay here and breathe. Okay, and in Yin Yoga, we do hold the poses for a little bit of time. We're not going to hold them very long today, but um, you never need to wait for me to tell you to come out of a pose. So if this is bothering you for any reason, adjust, maybe take the top hand off of the bottom, maybe move a little bit closer inside, or maybe just come back to your child's pose if that feels better for you, okay? So we can all meet again in our child's pose in the middle. Okay, and when you feel ready, you can walk your hands over to the right. Same thing, if you'd like, you can take that outer hand, the right hand here, stack it on top if that feels okay. Drop your head down, or you can lean on your left shoulder here. And rest it just there. And breathe. Okay, and then when you're ready, come back to center again, forehead to the mat. Regular child's pose one last time. And when you're ready, you can come up to hands and knees. So just to release out of this, because we had our knees bent, we're just going to straighten one leg at a time, tuck the toes, and just stretch out there and get a nice calf stretch as well. Just go back and forth. And we're going to be going into dragon next. So maybe also you might want to do some hip circles just to loosen up the hips a little bit. Maybe go in the opposite direction. Maybe do a little bit of a C curve. So turn to look back, and you can bring this left hip up. Come back to center. Bring the right hip towards the shoulder. Look back. Maybe do that a couple more times. Okay. So we're going to come into dragon. So with dragon, it can be difficult on the knees if you're any type of lunge position. So if you'd like for more cushioning, you could fold your mat over a bit underneath the back knee. You could take a blanket, folded blanket, and use that as support, or a pillow. So I'm going to use some support. I'm going to put the blanket under my back leg, will be my left knee here. I'm going to step my right foot forward. Now, it's also nice to have blocks here to use as support. So the knee is stacked over the ankle. Okay, we're going to come into baby dragon first. So I'm going to come down a little bit here, about on this medium height with my blocks. If you're feeling like your hip points are compressing into your thigh here, front thigh, you could always turn the right foot out. And then actually, you know what? It might be easier to see with the left. So I'm actually going to have you switch. So for demonstration purposes, we'll start on the left so you can see my outside leg better. So let's move your prop to the right side. Right knee, if you're using the prop, bring your blocks back up. And then you can step that left foot up, stack the knee over the ankle. You could slide that right knee back, so maybe tuck the toes, slide it back if you want more of a stretch there. Again, I like to come down to more of a medium setting here, baby dragon. But again, if your hip points feel like they're compressing into that thigh, what you can do is you can turn the foot out or move the foot out a bit more to try to go around that point of compression and maybe bring the blocks inside and see if that helps. So it's just an option. You might not need it. Okay, if not, you can bring the foot back. Okay, and then we're gonna stay here for a couple minutes and breathe. And while you're in dragon, maybe think about how before you can let go of things, sometimes you have to find the courage to face your fears, your worries, maybe your anger even. So allowing this pose to bring that strength to you. And our ancestors were designed to expect the worst because if they underestimated what was around the corner or in the bushes or in the forest, it could be deadly. But in modern times, we can still, get into that primitive part of our brains where we overestimate the likelihood of consequences of our worst fears. And this is often called catastrophizing. We take a better safe than sorry approach to all things big and small. So maybe just think about that for a moment. We're going to come into a twisting dragon. So in order to do that, we're going to turn towards this front bent knee, okay? Then bring the shoulder back. If you'd like, you can place the hand on your sacrum or lower back, or just on your thigh. Okay, and you can turn to look to the side, or you can just look ahead or look down, whichever works best for you. Okay, and then if this is too much for you today, you can always just come back here to your baby dragon, okay? And just hold here. So one way out of this catastrophizing sort of thinking is to focus on what is instead of what if. So our yoga practice, especially our yin practice, can help us come back to the present by learning to pause, to breathe, to let go, and let be. And when you're ready, slowly come out of the twist, come back to baby dragon first, and then we're gonna come into a low flying dragon. So I'm gonna move my block so you can see. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna step our foot over to the side here. We're gonna bring the supports here, if you have them, in to the inside of the foot here, okay? And the options for this pose are, I like to bring the blocks flat. You could stay up here if that's more comfortable for you, or you could come down and bring your elbows down to the blocks here. Okay, you can stay here and just kind of hug the knee in toward the torso, or you can start to externally rotate that front leg. Okay, so maybe the bottom of the foot starts to peel away from the mat. But if this is too much for you today, just come back slowly, bringing the knee up, and you can stay here. And you can bow your head here if you like. And just breathe into it and maybe notice if you have any tension in your neck or your face and just bring your breath there. Try to release it. Okay, before we come out of the pose, we're going to take 3 long deep breaths in and out. Okay, and if your elbows are down, walk your hands back up. If your leg is externally rotated, gently bring the knee back up. Okay, we're going to take our blocks and move our foot back to the center of the mat here. Maybe stand them on a taller height. And then we're going to start to come into a hamstring stretch to release out. So you can start to straighten the leg. You don't have to straighten it fully if you can't, but just bring the bottom of the foot up. Okay, and then we're going to just allow the spine to round because we're doing Yin Yoga. So maybe you found some courage in Dragon to let go of some of the things that are not serving you. So maybe you can find some relief here as you fold. If it's too much on your hamstrings, if you have, tight hamstrings, you can bend that knee more. And then when you're ready, you can bring the knee back forward over the ankle and then slide that foot back. Okay, maybe just shake the hips, maybe move them back and forth a little bit before we go to the other side. Okay, so we're going to take our support for the knee, if you have it, to the left side of the mat, okay? Then we're going to have your blocks ready. If you need them, bring your right foot, step it up, knee over the ankle. If you'd like, you can tuck your toes, slide that left knee back a bit more, okay? I like to come down on the medium height here for baby dragon, okay? You can sink into your front knee here. Again, if you feel like you're compressing, you could always turn the foot out here and try to go around it. So as you hold this pose, really embody that strength, that quality that dragon can bring to you here. And find your courage and be brave. Okay, we're going to come into our twisted dragon here. So we're going to turn towards that right knee, bring that right shoulder back a bit, Again, hand can be on the thigh or the lower back sacrum area. You can turn to look to the side, you can look forward or ahead, whatever works for your neck here. Okay, and try to keep the knee over the ankle. Try not to let it roll out. And if you feel any discomfort or pain, or if it's just very challenging because you're new to Yin Yoga, you can come out of the twist or out of dragon slowly and completely and just come to a resting pose of your choice. So maybe child's pose, or maybe down dog, maybe walking your dog out a little bit, or maybe even shavasana. In Yin Yoga, it's very challenging to hold the poses, so it's always helpful to come back to your breath. And if the twist is too much, you just come back down to your baby dragon. Okay, so everyone can come back to baby dragon here, slowly come out of the twist. We're going to come into our low flying dragon, so we'll need to move our blocks actually go to the inside of the right foot. Walk the right foot over to the edge of the mat. Okay, give yourself some space here. Again, I like to have mine lower. Stay here or bring your elbows down. Okay, and then you can stay with your knee kind of hugging into your torso, or you can gently start to externally rotate and bring the knee out to the side. Okay, and as you hold this pose, maybe just think about having that courage to face your fears, anxiety, frustration, maybe even anger. And like we did in the opening meditation, just greet them like an old friend you've invited for tea. And just hold space for them in your body and mind. And they don't stay here permanently. So like our friends, we visit with them. At some point, we'll say goodbye. So we can always release any of these emotions after we sit with them for a while. And bow your head. And again, just surrender to the present moment and what you're feeling. And relax your muscles. And before we come out of the pose, we're going to take 3 long, deep breaths and really sigh it out on the exhale like a dragon releasing fire from its mouth. And slowly, if your knee is out to the side, bring it back up. Maybe walk your hands up, straighten your arms. We're going to come into our hamstring stretch on this side, so move that foot back into the center of the mat here. Have your blocks ready. I like the taller height for this. We're going to start with our knee over the ankle, and then we're going to start to move our hips back and shift so the bottom of the foot comes off of the mat. Again, if it's that you're tight in your hamstrings, you can always bend that knee as much as you need to. I'm just going to round the back again because it's yin, so we're rounding and relaxing the muscles here. And again, while we're here, Maybe try to let go of any of those thoughts that have crept in, any emotions still lingering. Maybe even any sensations, if you can try to release some of that tension in your body. And to do that, we have to create space and let go of some of the old things. Maybe you can imagine again, like we did in the beginning, with the leaves on the stream on an autumn day, just allowing them to take the thoughts and emotions with them as they float away. And like the trees, we have to create room for new things to grow. Okay, and then when you're ready, bring the knee back up, slide the foot back. Okay, and we'll put our props off to the side. Okay, and we're going to come into our downward dog to release out a bit more. So come to hands and knees, maybe walk the hands forward a bit more. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, and we'll just walk the dog. So bend knee one at a time here, just to release out all that hard work we did in Dragon. And then come back down to your knees. And then maybe we'll come into child's pose here. Or actually, you know what? We'll go into our Sphinx slash half frog, but I'm going to give you some different options. So you can either just come into Sphinx, you can just come into half frog, or you can rest in crocodile pose, or you can do a combination of any of those. So I'm going to come down onto my abdomen here. For Sphinx to set up, fingertips are about, the length to the end of your elbows here, and then bring them straight out. Okay, you can open up the chest, and you can just stay here. If you would like to bring half frog into it, you can slide your knee up just as far as you feel you can, comfortably kind of go here to your edge, and you can stay here. If this is uncomfortable, another option is you can just do half frog. So you could slide your hands forward, your forehead to the mat, or you could bring your elbows out to the side, stack your hands, bring your forehead or the side of your head down for more of a crocodile arms. If Sphinx or half frog are not going to work for you today, you can slide that leg back and you can just take crocodile here and widen your feet maybe and elbows out to the sides, stack your hands, rest your forehead down or to one side. Okay, so you can choose whatever works for you today. Okay, and just take it easy and listen to your body. If you like, if you're in Sphinx, you can have your chest open but bow your head and just let go on the exhales. Again, notice if there's any tension in your neck or your face and just try to bring the breath there to release. Surrender to the present moment. And before we come out of the pose, we're going to take our 3 long deep breaths in and out. And then we're going to slide the bent leg straight if you're in frog. If you're in Sphinx, elbows out to the side. Just stack your hands. We're going to come into crocodile pose. You can widen the feet, maybe shake the hips out, wiggle it out a bit. And just a reset here. We'll stay here a moment and rest. And when you're ready, we're going to come into Sphinx slash half frog on the other side. Again, the options are you can just take Sphinx, and if this is a little too much on your lower back, you could always slide your hands further forward. See if that helps. If you need to, you could always put a bolster under your chest also. Okay, and then if you'd like, you can add the half frog, slide the knee up, and then if it's too much, you can always just do half frog, maybe straighten the arms in front, overhead, or maybe crocodile arms. And if neither work for you, again, you can just take crocodile pose and go back to that today. Okay, so it's your choice. And we'll be here for a couple of minutes. Before we come out of the pose, we're going to take our 3 long deep breaths in and out. So if you're in Sphinx, you can just bring your elbows out to the sides, bring your forehead down, slide your leg straight again. If you're in half frog, and maybe just wiggle out your hips one more time here. Okay, we're gonna push ourselves up for a moment to come into child's pose. So again, slide your hands forward here. Maybe bring the palms together this time and bring the thumbs to the back of the neck. So what's in the past can't keep you from moving forward to the future, but the bridge is the present, and you have to walk that path first. But it's okay to stop and stay here for a while until you're ready to move on. And when you're ready, bring your hands down. We're going to come back onto our abdomen here for a crossed arm pose. So come down when you're ready. Okay, and what we're going to do is you can either do this with one arm or two. So maybe straighten that left arm a bit so you can slide the right under. So kind of like thread the needle here. Okay, and so you can rest your head down and you can keep your left arm overhead, or you can bring it down by your side. So that's one option. Another is to take that left arm under but slide the right on top so you can have both arms crossed. And it might be nice to have a block here for your forehead to rest on if you're doing that version of the pose. Okay, so take whichever version you like. So working with these meridians, with the lung and the large intestine meridians, it goes along really nicely with the season of autumn. So I know it's not autumn everywhere in the world right now, but where I am, it is. So autumn is the season of trying to let go. And the emotions associated with the lung and the large intestine meridians are sadness and grief. So it's just something to think about if you have anything, any of that in your life right now. Doing these types of poses where we're working the lung and the large intestine meridians may help you. Okay, and before we come out of the pose, we're going to take 3 long, deep breaths in and out. Okay, so you're going to slowly slide your arms out here. Okay, and then from here, maybe you just push yourself up for a moment. Ooh, okay, just come to any comfortable seated position. Just shake out the hands and arms. Maybe do some snake arms, like in belly dancing here. Okay, just to kind of release out from that pose. Maybe move the shoulders around. Okay. And then when you're ready, you can come back down onto your abdomen again. And we're going to take it to the other side. So again, the options are you can slide the left arm under, bring the right forward, maybe rest your forehead to the mat, or you could bring your right arm down by your side. And if you'd like to do both arms, and slide that right arm above out to the side. If you need to, you can use a pillow or a block or a blanket for underneath your head, bolster, whatever works. Okay, so for the other side, so if you think of sadness and grief and kind of consider them negative emotions, on the other side of that, the more positive emotion is considered beauty. Now, you may not think of beauty as an emotion, so maybe think more of what kind of emotions beauty can bring to you. Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you peace? What does it bring to you? And what do you consider beautiful? Where do you find beauty? Do you find it in nature? Do you find beauty in art? What does beauty mean to you, and what kind of emotions does it evoke? Maybe just think about that while you're in this pose. Before we come out of the pose, take those 3 long deep breaths in and out. And slide your arms back into the center. Move any props out of the way. You can push yourself up and back to a seated position again, whichever one you like. And again, just kind of roll the shoulders, just kind of release out here. Wiggle it out, maybe move the whole arm again into snake-like arms. And just whatever works for you. Shake it out. Shake the shoulders. Okay. We're going to come into a supported bridge. So you can use a block or blocks. You can use a bolster, blanket, whatever you'd like underneath. Or you can just take a regular bridge if you prefer that. So just have your supports nearby in case you need them. I'm just going to grab a bigger bolster to show you too. Okay, so you can lie down on your back if you're using a knees bent here, and if you're using blocks, you could keep it horizontal so there's more area to rest on here. And you want to have it underneath that back of your pelvis, that sacrum, that bony part. So not under your lower back, below that on the bony area. Okay, and you can play around with the height. You can either have it here. Maybe you want to stack 2 blocks horizontal here. Okay, just make sure that you're stable if you do. Okay, and you can have your arms just down by your sides. Maybe tuck your shoulder blades under here a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take the props out momentarily here to show with the bolster. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my bolster. I'm gonna place them. I'll wait till I'm down on my back actually. So, okay. So once I'm down on my back, I can slide the bolster under. Okay, so knees are bent. Again, arms down by your sides. And so we did some poses too to work other emotions in our practice today. So, sometimes grief or oftentimes grief comes with a whole bunch of other emotions besides sadness. So, you could have fears and you can have anger and things like that. So we did also work that into our practice today and to try to get that whole balance of being. And before we come out of the pose, we'll take our 3 long deep breaths in and out. And then just come up on your toes a bit to lift your hips up. If you have any props, just slide them out from beneath you and very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, come down. Don't come down too quickly. A lot of times with yin, when you come out of the poses, you can feel very fragile. So you just always want to be very gentle. So we're going to come into a reclined twist. Okay, so I'm just going to have a blanket nearby just in case. So you can keep both knees bent. Okay, and we'll just drop our knees over to the right. You can bring your arms out to the sides if you can reach. Otherwise, you can have goalpost arms because I can't. I'm going to hit the closet here. Okay, and then you can look to the left away from the bent knees. If that works for you. If not, you can just look up. Okay, and if your knees don't reach the floor, you could always bring the floor up to meet you by putting a prop underneath it, maybe a blanket or a block, pillow. If your shoulder comes off of the mat, you can also do the same thing. Maybe bring a blanket underneath. And before we come out of this side of the pose, we're going to take those 3 long deep breaths in and out. And then very slowly bring the knees back up. Okay, and if you'd like, you can bring them in here, maybe do some circles in one direction, and then the other, just to release out in between before we go to the other side. Okay, so again, just drop the knees over to the left this time. And need to move out a little bit. Okay, and then you can bring your arms out to the side or go across arms. Look out over your right hand or up. Again, you can bring support under your knees or shoulder if you feel like they're not touching the ground, or you can bring the ground up to you. And before we come out of the pose on this side, again, 3 long deep breaths in and out. And then when you're ready, slowly bring the knees back up. Again, you can hug the knees into the chest, maybe rock side to side. We're going to set up for Shavasana now, so if you need to get socks or a sweatshirt or a sweater, blanket, an eye pillow, anything you might need to help you stay warm and cozy here. If you'd like, you could even take a blanket and roll it up, put it underneath your knees, help support your lower back a bit more. Pranayama bolsters like this are also the same size and are good for that purpose too. Okay, so just take a moment to get ready. Then we'll do a quick scan of the body while we're in Shavasana. So your arms can be on an angle out to the side, palms up. Just let your feet flop open to the edges of the mat. I like to tuck my shoulder blades under a bit. It helps my back. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. And we'll bring our attention to our third eye, that area in the middle of your forehead here. And then we'll bring our awareness to the right eyebrow, the left eyebrow, to the right eye, to the left eye, to the nose, both nostrils, cheekbones, the ears, the jaw, the throat, collarbone, the right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist, back of the right hand, palm of the right hand, the whole right hand and arm together, over to the left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, back of the left hand, palm of the left hand, the whole hand and arm together, down to the heart center, the navel, traveling over to the right hip, right knee, right ankle, top of the right foot, bottom of the right foot, the whole right foot and leg together, back up to the right hip, over to the left hip, left knee, left ankle, back of the left foot, top of the left foot, bottom of the left foot, the whole foot and leg together, back of the pelvis, lower back, middle back, upper back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head, back to the third eye. And the whole body together, and feel the whole body together, the whole body together. And you're always welcome and encouraged to stay in Shavasana longer. But if you're ready to come out, you can start to maybe bring some movement back into your body. So maybe wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, maybe circle your wrists and circle your ankles. Maybe reach your arms overhead and your feet in the opposite direction for a full body stretch. Then bring your arms back down, bend your knees, roll onto your right side, rest your head in the palm of your right hand. Just allow your practice to sink in. When you're ready, maybe straighten that top leg and press into the left palm to push yourself up to a seated position. We'll bring our palms together at heart center and we'll bow and say Namaste. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you that is of love, of light, of peace, and of truth. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. Namaste.